What is up? How are we doing today? Let's jump right into things. Hope you guys are having a fantastic freaking day. Let me make sure we get everything all set up. Make sure my freaking mic doesn't go flying across the screen here. But anyways, today we are going to be talking to you guys about identity again. Identity is huge, and I want to make sure that we cover this honestly a lot because this is, again, I talk to my clients about this a lot, guys. But this is something you guys have got to understand. Listen, all of you guys who watch my stuff, the only reason you watch my stuff is because you are either big in the fitness or you're trying to get into fitness. You're trying to start a fitness journey, right? But the reality here is that a lot of you guys are undermining the psychological process of this. And that's super important. And I always tell it to my clients this way. It's like, I can have the most perfect, absolute perfect game plan for you when it comes to nutrition and workouts, whatever the case may be. But if you aren't showing up and your mindset's not on point, none of it matters at all. And so we need to make sure you guys understand the psychological parts of this, because it's going to help you guys stop making certain excuses, because you don't realize how much an excuse can hold you back, right? And so big part of that is identity. We're going to go ahead and cover a lot of that today. I am stacked with some Diet Dr. Pepper. I couldn't think of the right adjective I wanted to use or verb, whatever you want to say. But that being said, I've been chugging these bad boys. Your boy is caffeinated and ready to go. Let's start with identity. Okay. So like, there's a few different things I want to go into here. Obviously, as I do usually, I brought some, research articles so that we can kind of go over this kind of stuff. But this is why it matters, okay? The brain craves, and when I mean brain, I mean your conscious mind, whatever the case, whatever you want to call it. It craves congruence, okay? If your actions don't match who you believe you are, you'll quit or self-sabotage. A great example of this is someone who doesn't identify as a fit person joining the gym. All of you guys have been through this. All of us have experienced this feeling of starting something new, right? And if your mindset doesn't align with, I am this person, it's going to either, there's going to be a few different things that happen. It's one of two. You're either going to change your identity or you're going to stop doing whatever you're doing, right? For a lot of people, you don't realize that you have to identify as a fit person to make this something that's going to last a lifetime. It will not last a lifetime if you do not identify as a fit person. It just simply will not. This is crucial, because what's going to end up happening is you're going to start making excuses that fit people don't make, right? Because if you're a fit person and you identify as a fit person, it is who you are. That is going to be the limiting factor that keeps you from skipping, guys. It's going to be the limiting factor that keeps you from skipping on tracking, skipping on your workouts, making sure you go to bed on time. That is the limiting factor, right? So we need to make sure you guys understand, and this is not going to be something that changes overnight, but this is something that's going to change with habit and affirmations. This is why affirmations are so fucking important. Okay? You cannot dismiss this, guys. If you dismiss this, you're going to struggle. You're a human being, okay? This is stuff that we know that human beings go through. We have a lot of scientific evidence on this. I'll give you guys a few studies. There's Ostrom in 2009 showed identity-based motivation drives long-term behavior change more than willpower. Then we also got books like Atomic Habits. Like I always like to throw around Atomic Habits because it's the most popular. You guys have probably heard of that book. Like, it's thrown around out there all the time. And it's a good one. It's actually not even something I've actually technically read. It's just that I know what it's all about. I've studied very intensively about habits and habitually based stuff. Excuse me. And I just know what it's about. But that said, there's another one, The Power of Habits by Duhigg. Let's see. I mean, I've got a lot of other ones on here too. I mean, I could go on all day long. But just understand, guys, this is not just stuff I'm throwing the fuck out there. This is stuff that's backed by science. You guys have got to understand how important this is, okay? So, that being said, we need to understand the fact that this is also, where this ties into play, it ties into play with something called your ego, which you guys know it, that you've heard of the term ego. A lot of you guys don't know what ego means, okay? So I'm going to make sure you guys get educated on that today. But on top of that, we also need to understand that, like, there's not going to be any habits that you're going to build that's going to last. There's not going to be any habits that you're going to build, period, unless we can get that identity on check. So how do we do that? We do it with taking the habits we need to do seriously, right? We also do it by making sure we have clear set goals that we really want, not stuff that we're just telling ourselves we want because we see other people having it, right? Like, there's a lot of people out there that wish they were movie stars, but you don't understand the consequences that come with that, right? Like being recognized every step you go. You guys want to see what I mean? And so, again, this is all an identity-based thing. Like, we got to make sure that you are identifying and understanding that this is what this kind of person does. A great example, the best one I can put up here for you guys to fully understand right off the bat is going to a gym when you're first starting your fitness journey. A lot of you guys will walk in there, not know what you're doing, get on a treadmill, and then when you leave, you don't come back for months at a time because you felt kind of goofy when you went into the gym. You didn't feel like you belonged there because you don't identify with being that kind of person, which justifiably so. You've never stuck to it long enough to tell yourself, I am this kind of person. But you do know that you need this. We all know that we all need fitness for our health. We know this. This is not hard. We all know this. It's not like I'm throwing out a crazy conspiracy theory or something out there, right? But a lot of us tend to get stuck in what's called cognitive dissonance. And what cognitive dissonance is, it's when you start rationalizing. And I need to do a live stream on this too, but people spend way too much time rationalizing illogical things. They rationalize based off of emotions rather than rationalize based off of logic. That's a problem, right? Because if you rationalize based off of emotions, what's going to happen is you're going to be starting a diet. You'll be 4 days into a diet. You'll get a little hungry or a little tired because that's what happens when you're on a diet. And you'll rationalize to yourself that, oh, I need to take a break. This isn't healthy. I need to eat some food. I need to just eat a little bit of extra food. It won't hurt that much. All rationalizations that are holding you back because you do not understand just exactly how much it takes. Again, you guys have got to understand, this is the difference. This is going to dictate what your actions are, right? Whether or not you do something or you don't do something. It all depends on who you identify as. Am I going to cheat on my diet or not today? Well, am I a fit person or am I not a fit person? Okay? Depending on your answer is what's the actions going to play. If you're not a fit person, it's a lot easier to cheat on your diet. It's a lot easier to skip a workout halfway through, right? But if you are a fit person, you do identify as a fit person, it's a lot harder to break that. I'm not saying it won't happen. I'm saying it's a lot harder. This is what helps create habits very, 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 very fucking well. Okay? You guys got to understand this aspect of this thing. Again, I've already brought up the research for you guys, but again, with the fitness tie-ins here, like clients who only see themselves as on diet usually rebounds, right? Clients who shift to, I am someone who fuels and trains like an athlete, typically sustains results. That's the difference, right? Like you are, it's not that you're just necessarily on a diet all the time. It's that you're eating like an athlete. You're eating like someone you're eating like someone who cares about their body, right? Like this is the kind of stuff. And guys, like this all sounds like, of course I know this. Well, like what you're saying this like I don't know this. It's not that you don't know this. It's that you don't internally believe it. Why? Because a lot of you guys out there don't believe in affirmations. A lot of you guys think affirmations are fucking woohoo, whatever the fuck nonsense. But it's not. Okay? The reason affirmations are a fucking thing, and there's a lot of scientific evidence to show that they work very fucking well, is simply because if you tell yourself you're a certain thing enough times, you start believing it. Okay? If you tell yourself, I'm a fit person every day, eventually, especially when you incorporate it with actions like tracking calories and showing up for your workouts, that starts ingraining into your personality, into your identity, into who you are as a person. Right? This is all based on the ego and how the ego operates. That's what your ego is for, guys. Your ego is literally there. And guys, if you guys don't know what the ego is your sense of self. Your ego is the part of you that interprets information and it tells you whether or not it's for you or if it's not for you. Right? It is basically your identity. Identity is the blueprint. Ego is the security system. Right? Change the blueprint and the ego defends a new standard. Right? So like, Your ego is the rationalization part of you. Your ego is the part of you that, what I was just talking about earlier, the part of you that rationalizes excuses, that's your ego. But your ego is also the part of you that tells yourself, no, I'm not going to quit. I'm going to do this because this is who I am. That's why this is so fucking important, guys. Like, again, this is literally the defining factor on whether or not you're going to quit. Because this is a hard thing to do. This is getting any kind of fitness results and keeping them for a lifetime is twice as hard as becoming a millionaire. Getting abs is literally 3 times as hard than becoming a millionaire. There are statistics for this. 2 to 3% of the population has visible abs like you guys see in this picture over here, right? Whereas 10% of the American population are millionaires. It is, by every definition, statistically speaking, harder to get fit than it is to become a millionaire. You guys got to understand just how hard this aspect is. And again, guys, you can go Google that. That is not crazy. That is not something I'm just pulling out of my ass. This is statistics that are based on real things. You can Google this. This is not crazy stuff. Like, this is easy to Google stuff, right? But that being said, you guys need to understand the psychological processes that are going on here. A lot of this is based on identity, and your identity is based off of how your ego is interpreting what you're doing, right? So if you're someone who doesn't believe they're a fit person and you start a workout routine, your ego is going to be the first thing that tells you, oh, you don't need to be here right now. You need to go back home where you're comfortable. That's your ego. The part of you that rationalizes, the part of you that makes excuses is your ego. But also, the part of you that makes you stick to your fitness goals is also your ego. This is why I am not a big fan of ego is the enemy. Ego is not the enemy, right? That's a big Stoic foundation and saying. In fact, there's actually a book I recommend to a lot of people all the time that's called Ego is the Enemy by Ryan Holiday. I don't subscribe to that belief, right? That's a Stoic belief. I think the ego is something that needs to be checked, but it also needs to be praised. It also needs to have a pedestal for itself because it's the thing that makes you stand to the occasion. And if you just dismiss that, then you'll never stand to the occasion either. And that is not what being a savage is all about. That is not what I stand for. That is not what I think is going to help people become better. I think that a lot of people get held back by their ego a lot more often than their ego boosts them up, which is why that can tend to be true for most cases, right? Ego is the enemy can be true for most cases, but I don't think about it like that. I think about it as we need to refine the ego to make sure that it's specifically designed in a way that is congruent with the person that we are trying to become, the person that we want to be, our goals. And this is why goal setting is super important, and figuring out who the fuck you are and figuring out what the fuck you want to do with your life is extremely important. It's more important than anything else, because without that, you have nothing to base your ego off of and nothing to base your identity off of, which is going to make it feel like every time you go to the gym or every time you start a diet, like you're pulling teeth out of somebody. Like, it's going to feel extremely difficult because you have no identity to base it off of. You don't have anyone you're trying to become, and there has to be someone you're trying to become. The future version of you. Okay, well then who the hell is that? That's what I'm saying, guys. You've got to, I can't answer that for you. I don't know what you want out of life. I only know what I want out of life. And I know for a fact I want to be somewhere where I'm not right now, right? That's the whole point of goals, is to be like, okay, this is where I'm at right now. This is where I want to be. Okay? That doesn't mean don't love yourself in the moment. That doesn't mean don't enjoy the process. That doesn't mean, like, you know, be upset with where you're at in life. This is the journey. This is how the life climb is. It's never not going to be this way. For me. Right? And I don't think it should be for anyone else. I think it's what gets people stuck in the same, spinning their gears all their life instead of actually making progress. Guys, do you want to sit there and not make any progress with your life and do nothing and just enjoy your life in a comfortable state all of your life until you eventually die of a heart attack? Or do you want to do something with your life, do something positive, help some other people out, help the human population evolve, and do something with it? Right? I know where I fall in this category. But a lot of people get stuck on, oh, I just want to stay the same and like live through comfort until I die. And they get upset with themselves when they realize that doesn't bring them happiness at all. Comfort and happiness are not the same thing, guys. They're not. Fulfillment in your life is a big part of that. And that doesn't come without setting goals. We have to figure out what we're going toward. And a lot of fucking people out there right now are floating through life without any goals. You don't know where you're going. You're going to work just to get a paycheck so that you can, keep living on your life, doing the same things, playing video games, watching TV, and going to work over and over and over again, not doing anything different for 10 years at a time. Why? What good? Is that really that happy of a time you're having? Or are you just comfortable? There is a difference, guys. There's a huge difference here. And a lot of people don't think about this. They don't think about the fact that they're just surviving instead of thriving. That's the difference. And you're not ever going to feel this ultimate pull from God that makes you love your life, that makes you excited to be alive without setting those goals. The whole idea of chasing goals is what makes life so exciting. And a lot of us aren't doing that. And that's why you're struggling with everything, including fitness. Guys, you don't just get to have a fit body just because you wished it. You have to set the damn goal and start chasing after it. Who do you want to be in 10 years? Who do you want to be in 5 years? Right? Get concrete about that. Right? It can be more broad as time goes out. Because obviously you're not like you're not a future or fortune teller. You don't know what the future is going to hold. But that being said, you also need to have an idea of where you're going. I always explain it to my clients this way. Guys, if life's a game of darts and we don't have a dartboard, what the fuck are we throwing at? Nothing? We're just throwing darts at the wall, I guess. Guys, that's what I'm talking about. You have to have these goals. You have to have something to aim for. You have to be willing to evolve. It's evolve or die around here. You guys want to know why I'm so ecstatic about fitness? Why I'm so ecstatic about life? Why I think life's fucking awesome and I'm not someone who sits here and acts like life's just the most awful thing ever? It's simply fucking because I enjoy the aspect. I have goals I'm chasing and I'm getting better each and every single day. That's exciting. That fills me with dopamine. That is what human beings are meant to do, is to chase goals, not live in comfort. And here's why this is the case, guys. It used to be really hard to survive. It used to be 200 years ago, it was extremely hard to survive. Today, it's very easy to survive. Okay? The goals have to be a little bit more abstract now. What's going on here? Having some weird technical difficulties today. I don't know what's going on. Anyways, I guess we're having some connection issues. I'll try and move on because that definitely took me out of my whole spiel there. But you guys got to understand ego, identity, making sure that all that's kind of stuck into the same route and making sure that we're not dismissing that is huge. So how do we do that, right? How do we build an ego that's designed for the goals that we want? How do we build an ego? Because here's the thing, guys. This is why you look up to people, by the way, right? The reason you look up to people who are fit, the reason you look up to people who have the body or are doing the things physically that you want to do, like athletes, right? Or people who have jobs that you want, or people who are movie stars or YouTubers, or people who are working the dream job that you want, right? The reason you look up to them is because your ego is like, oh, that's my North Star. That's the direction I want to go. Okay. Base what you want to, figure out what the hell you want to do and start building your life around that, right? That's what you guys have got to understand. But a lot of you guys are sitting here trying to like lose 20 pounds and like trying to, and being like, oh, I don't understand why I have such a hard time like sticking to the process or being accountable for myself. It's because you have no goals for your life. You want to lose 20 pounds so you can look better at the beach. And that's not, guys, I'm sorry. That's not something that's going to get a lot of people off the fucking couch. You really don't care that much about that. What you do probably care about is whether or not you're going to be in the same position in your life in the next 10 years. What you do care about is whether or not you're going to be in a wheelchair in the next 20. Okay? Whether or not you're going to have a heart attack in the next 30. That's something you really, that will make you think. Your mortality will make you think. Your ability to transverse this earth and be able to walk and breathe and move normally will make you think about this. Okay, so we got to get really concrete. I'm not saying that those those vain goals are necessarily something that won't get you going, because for some people they're vain enough for it to work, right? Like they're vain enough. I'm not one of those people, but like they're vain enough to make them push themselves. But like guys, You're not just going to magically lose 20 pounds just because you said, oh, I'm going to lose 20 pounds just because I think that's a good goal to set. But no, you got to be very concrete about what you're trying to do and why. That's why you got to, guys, this is hard to do. This is a very hard thing to do. You got to take this very fucking serious. You cannot just put this to the wayside and act like it's just going to fall into your lap, because it will not. Okay, so how do we build the identity? First, we got to figure out, again, role models. Who are we trying to be like, right? Who has a body that we want to have like, right? Who is moving like we want to move like? Who has work positions or job positions? Who is more successful than me that I want to be like? Why do we ask this question? Because iron sharpens iron. You need to figure out how they're living their lifestyle and like kind of not necessarily copy them, but you need to integrate what works for them and figure out what works for you to kind of go in that direction. You need to figure out what the fuck you want to do. I'm being so broad here just mainly because goals, there's so many different goals you can go for. You can want to be a movie star. You can want to be a top game real estate agent. You can want to be like the most fit person on the planet. You want to be the best fighter. There's so many different goals out there, right? My thing is, like, I can't choose your goal for you. You guys got to figure that out for yourselves, right? But what I'm saying is, once you figure out what your goal is, what kind of person you want to be in the next 10 years, or rather, here's what I would say is, what is your life goals in the next 10 years, right? That's a very simple question to ask. After you answer that question, right, the next step is figure out who is living life right now. Guys, there's an internet thing called the internet you guys are watching me on right now. You can find people that are doing these kinds of things. Figure out what they're doing, start emulating that kind of thing, and start identifying with those behaviors. That's what's going to help you start showing the fuck up way more often. Way more often. Way fucking more often. I cannot stress this enough. You guys, like, the people I see struggling are the people who her egos are out of check. You want to be this kind of guy, but you're doing this. You want to be this kind of girl, but you're doing this. You want to be a fit person, yet you're skipping workouts, right? Everything's clashing. Your identity is clashing with your actions. That's why you're not getting results, dude. That's why. That's why you have a hard time showing up to the gym. That's why you struggle to wake up early so you can make it to the gym. That's why you struggle to stick to tracking your calories. That's why you keep making excuses that are piss poor excuses. Because you rationalize them away with your ego. You tell yourself, oh, it's not that big a deal. I'll do this later. It's not that big a deal for me. I'm not going to do this right now because it's not that important. Even though you're going to complain about it like it is later. Okay, so you got to make sure this is all on par. The way we do this, affirmations are non-negotiable, y'all. You got to be willing to look at yourself in the mirror and say, I am a fit person. If that makes you uncomfortable, then you need to do it 20 times more often. Because what that means is that you don't believe that. Guys, this is what I'm talking about. You guys think this is just something that is unique to you. No, it's not. You are not fucking special. You are a human being just like me, just like anyone around you, just like anyone that's ever been or who will be. Understand that, guys. Because what happens is you don't do these affirmations. Like, people think these affirmations are dumb because they feel silly doing it. Yeah, because your ego's fucking out of whack. That's why you feel silly doing it, right? I'm not saying it's not a weird thing to do. It does seem kind of strange, but it only seems strange because your ego's out of check. You think you're cooler than you are. But the reality is you shit every morning just like everybody else. Okay? You take shits too. You wipe your ass too. You fart too. You blow snot rockets too. You do all the gross and uncool things you think everyone else does except you. You do all that too. You are a human fucking being. You are not special. You are not unique. You are a human fucking being. And what that means is that this will affect you just like any other human being there's ever been. Because again, this isn't just something I'm pulling out of my ass here, guys. There's research on this. We know it affects people. We know it'll affect your subconscious if you do it habitually. But if your ego gets in the way and you go, oh, I feel silly for doing this. I'm too cool for school. I'm not going to do this. I don't need to talk to you. Okay? If you think you're too cool to do what everyone else does to get the results that you want, then guess what, dude? You don't deserve those results. If you think you're too busy to show up for a workout, even though the people you look up to are just as busy, if not busier, and still making it happen, well, then I don't know what to tell you, Jack. Your identity is clashing with what you need to do. So we got to work on your identity. And we start by doing that with affirmations and daily habits. The habits are easy. I say they're easy. They're easy to remember. The stuff that you need to be doing anyways if you're on a fit journey. Again, if you're someone who's been struggling to lose 20 to 30 pounds or more for years, doesn't matter how many years, for years, then it's a clear sign, hey, your identity is clashing somewhere. We got to figure out what's going on. You need to start doing affirmations. You need to start doing things habitually and treat them as non-negotiables. You do not skip them because they will affect your habits, which is going to affect your identity, which is literally the thing that's keeping you from getting results. It is the main thing that's keeping you from getting results. It's not the workout program. It's not the diet. It's the fact that you aren't consistent and you aren't keeping yourself accountable because you're coming up with bullshit excuses like, oh, I don't feel good today. Guys, I'm going to give you a fucking clue here. You're not going to feel 100% great when you're in a calorie deficit, especially as you get deeper into a calorie deficit. If you're on a diet in a calorie deficit, you are not going to feel 100%. You need to know that going in. Okay? A lot of people, it's an excuse I get all the time. Oh, I just got to take a break because I don't feel good today. Dude, do you think I feel good right now? How much energy do you think I had why do you think I'm drinking a Diet Dr. Pepper right now at fucking 7 a.m. in the morning? I'm tired as fuck. My allergies are going nuts. I had to get up at 4 a.m. to go fucking walking so I can get my 10K steps in today. I don't give a fuck what your excuse is. You aren't taking it serious. You're not understanding how much effort this takes, motherfucker. This takes a lot of fucking effort. Okay? There are people out there going through much more than you and still making this shit happen. You need to understand that. You need to identify with those people instead of trying to go back into your old ways, which you know aren't working. Okay? I'm saying it like this because some of you guys need that wake-up call to be like, oh, okay, I have been doing that. I have been saying, oh, I don't feel good. I have been using allergies as an excuse. Guys, if you're ever using allergies as an excuse for not doing a workout or skipping on your nutrition, that is a fucking dumb thing to do. You need to hear a coach say that. That is a stupid thing to do. There are going to be way too many days out of the years where you're going to be dealing with that. I don't care what the fuck you're going through, guys. I do not care. I don't care if you're in the fucking hospital. There's something you can do. You can focus on your diet. You can focus on tracking calories. You can focus on getting as much possible movement as you possibly can. Why? Because it's going to help you anyways. You're making excuses based off of illogical rationalizations based off of feeling, not logic. The logic would tell you need to be doing that stuff anyways because you're doing that for your health anyways. The whole reason you're doing this stuff is for your health. What are you talking about? I don't feel good. What about the excuse, I'm too busy? I'm too busy to do this. I'm too busy to do that. And then you don't realize the fact that like it's going to cut 15 years short off your life. What about then? Are you too busy then? Do you have time then when you're getting 15 years of your life taken out because you aren't focusing on your fucking health? You guys see what I'm talking about? It's the rationalizations you're making. We got to make sure that we are taking this part so fucking serious, guys. Workouts every day. Track your calories every day. Right? 2 very easy to do non-negotiables that'll help you identify as a fit person, that'll help make sure that we ingrain this as habit. And I promise you, you will be dealing with a lot less health problems if you do those 2 alone every single day, no matter what the fuck is going on in your life. I don't care if you got a fucking fever, dude. I don't. If I got a fever, I guess it's a yoga day. Straight up. That's the way I look at it. I don't care what the fuck is going on. There's never going to be something in my life for me doing a little extra movement or me stretching or me focusing on my health and my body is going to be something negative. There's never going to be a time. Ever, fucking ever, never, ever. This is not your job. This is your health. This is not work. This is more important than your work. Why? You need your body to work. You guys get what I'm coming from here? The reason I'm saying it this way is because there's a lot of people out there making bullshit rationalizations. I'm going to do a live stream on this on Saturday. Saturday live stream rationalizations. Because that's a thing that gets people so bad, man. And it drives me fucking bananas. Because this is not something I deal with anymore. I used to deal with it a lot. I mean, I still deal with it, obviously. Everyone deals with it. Everyone's a human being. But that being said, I deal with it a hell of a lot less, and I see people make these spelled rationalization wrong. I see people making these mistakes all the time, And it's one of those things, like, I have Pandora's box open. They don't. So, like, it's something that I'm able to see because I've been doing this for 10 fucking years. It's almost 11 years now. So I see it almost immediately while other people are kind of blind to the veil. But, like, the big thing you guys got to be super, super conscious about, and we'll do a live stream on this on Saturday, but it all has to do with, like, being very, what's the word I used earlier? You have to be very aware of cognitive dissonance. And again, cognitive dissonance is when you start rationalizing things so that your identity and your ego feels better about themselves, right? Oh, I'm not going to the gym today. It's just been such a crazy day, and I deserve a day off. I deserve a time. You know what? I've done so much work today. I don't have to go to the gym today. That's what I'm talking about. Oh man, this is just so hard to track. I'm just going to skip tracking today and we'll get back on track tomorrow. Oh man, I've worked so damn hard. It's been such a long day at work. I'm already sitting on the couch. Why don't I just skip today and we'll go really hard in the paint tomorrow at the gym? That's what I'm fucking talking about. That is what's holding you back, dude. Yet you guys start a workout routine, you start a diet, and you use that excuse every fucking time. Oh, I can't do this because of that. It doesn't matter what. This is why we call it the savage standard, guy. This is why my system is called the savage standard. It doesn't fucking matter. It doesn't matter what's going on in your life. Guys, I had literally a family member in the hospital this week. I had multiple things going on with my family, my grandparents right now. Right? There's a lot going on for me. Yet you guys see me in the gym, you see me tracking, you see me taking care of my client. I don't give a fuck what's going on, dude. It doesn't matter what's going on. It does not matter what is going on in your life. This still is more important. You're not going to take care of things that need your attention at 100% capacity without this. This is the basis for everything. It's your health. And people get so caught up trying to dismiss that and be like, oh, but this is more important. No, it's not. I think you're crazy when you say that. I think you're fucking crazy when you say that. And I need to say that to people's face. Like, you got to hear someone say this stuff, guys. Because so many of you guys have friends and family that don't want to deal with arguing with you. So they just agree with you, which is enabling. Which is not helping. It's just getting away without an argument. That's all that is. You guys got to be so crucially aware of this because, again, the reason I'm hammering down so hard on this is because this is psychological, right? There is no willpower about this. These are very specific things that we got to make sure we're taking very seriously. Your habits and affirmations, your ego, your identity. We got to take that stuff so fucking serious or else you are just not going to make it, guys. You may lose 20 pounds, but I promise you'll gain 30 back. I've seen it happen. I've witnessed it happen multiple times. And every time it's happened in the past, like when I first started training in my first 5 early years of training, I'd always ask myself, what am I doing wrong? What's the problem? Why are these certain clients this is happening to? Well, I've got other clients who are keeping the results for a way longer amount of time, and they're keeping, honestly, to this day, those same clients still got that weight off. What is the difference between those people and the people who don't? It's this. It's their identity. It's how much they resonate with this. It's how much their ego is becoming friction on the process. And we have to understand that this is why. This is the reason I wrote this book, guys, the Chigel equation. Make sure I don't flip everything out over here because there's so many things stacked on top of it. But like, I wrote this book to explain why this is such a big fucking deal, guys. It's huge. It's not just something I throw out there willy-nilly or else I wouldn't fucking spend multiple 30+ minute live streams talking about this stuff. Like, it's that important. It is that important. Stop dismissing it. Stop rationalizing it. Take the hit to the ego. Tell your ego to sit the fuck down for a second and to listen to coach. You need to do this, guys. You need to do the affirmations. You need to make sure you're sticking to things habitually or you just simply will not make it. And there's nothing I can say or do to help you with that. Okay? That is the reality of the situation. You've got to make sure you are taking it that fucking serious. Okay? That's all I got for the day. We're already going a really long time on this live stream. Once I get going, man, I can't stop. I have a hard time stopping because it's, again, guys, I'm that passionate about this stuff. I do really believe this stuff based off of not only the research, but just my experiences of being a fitness professional for the past decade. Okay? I know there's been too many examples where I know that this is the case for a fact. So please listen to me when I'm saying this. Do not dismiss this. Take this very fucking serious. Okay? that's all I got for you guys today. Saturday, we'll be going over rationalizations and how they are detrimental to your fitness goals and any goal you have, period. So we're going to make sure you get you guys that information. But I'll talk to you guys then. Peace out.